Ooh, magic wand, magic wand. Make our work a lot better. So you should watch 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Hey, good morning. It's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. It's Monday. It's about 5:19 a.m. Been up for a while. Just checking to see what's going on after the weekend because everybody wants to do stuff. And I got the magic wand. This is from Harry Potter. Borrowed it from my daughter. Anyway, so you know I woke up and I saw a video on LinkedIn, and this is show 98, by the way, for all the podcasters out there. The guy was talking about, oh, work life is a bunch of rubbish, blah, blah, blah. He says it's a trend. There are a lot of trends out there, and I would agree work life balance stuff is a load of rubbish. However, it depends on why you're saying it. And so we're going to talk about that. Just like here on 5 a.m. Mester Scrum, we talk about Scrum and Agile to help you have a better work life balance, right? And the mission is to get you home to your family and friends and do what you want to do. If you want to work more, you can work more. If you want to hang out with your family, you can hang out with your family. Because I will say, hanging out with the family is not necessarily less work. Sometimes it's more work. And growing the business, right? Bringing more revenues in and just have less stress, but more fun. And it's not a question of not working more hours. And it's not a question of saying work is bad. So I want to talk about two things. Work-life balance and why I say that. And then breaking down tasks and how that would really work and what that's supposed to really be about. And listen to the guy talk. It reminds me when I was in my 20s, way back in the 90s, when all I had was a disk drive operated computer. And so I wrote down in a blog post response to him, it's work-life balance is working smartly. And what I hope here on this show, we talk about working smartly and more effectively. It's not just working for working's sake, right? That is not a work-life balance. And I don't think any of these people would have that. And if you're an entrepreneur and a billionaire and you work a million hours, it's fine. It's your company. You're making the money. If it ain't your company, you're not making more money, then does that really make smart sense from you personally? And from a business, to be honest with you. I never cared for the idea. I mean, you like what you do. I love work. I've been working since I've been like 5. I don't know. I wrote a whole thing on LinkedIn. I think I had some 80 odd jobs over my lifetime, and in different careers and different little things, even as a kid, selling newspapers or delivering newspapers. But working stupidly is not part of it. And what I want people to do is not work stupidly. I want you to work smartly and effectively so that you can either get paid more money or spend time with your family and friends or work on an entrepreneur idea or do some fun thing that you want to think you want to do and progress. Maybe you want to be a painter. I don't know. Maybe you want to go hiking. Who knows? And mountain climbing, trust me, mountain climbing can be fun, but it's a lot of work, right? Uh, and I don't want to go too long in that, but it's like this. If you get paid $40,000 for a 40-hour job, right? But they want you to work 60 hours at that job that they said they're going to pay you for 40 hours a week at 40K a year, right? Well, that doesn't make any sense. They should be paying you 60K for that 60 hours, right? Because from a business, I'm going to be honest with all this free business people and these interns working for free. It's great if you're thinking of value, but I'm telling you, I'd rather have someone in business thinking, as long as they have the skills and everything, and they really think they put it in, to want to get paid. I never can understand why someone would work in a business unless you really think you're going to do it and not get paid. There's time to build up if it's your own business and you're building a place to build from. I get it. I'm in for it. If you're learning and you really love a job, because you should love your job, right? Don't do a job you don't love to do. When I and I don't know, tell the story here. When I was in my 20s, I had a role, and it kind of still applies. And I tell people nowadays the same role applies. When the lights would go off in my office, it would go pitch dark. because where I worked, it was a cave, right? And there was no windows, no nothing. And sometimes the security guy would walk by and flip the lights off, and it was pitch black to the point where I made sure I had a flashlight so I could get the heck out of the office, right? It wasn't that late. I mean, maybe it was like 8 o'clock at night, but it was a government job, and no one worked at 8 o'clock at night in a government job, except for maybe the. But where the other rule was, if the computer broke, so there's two acts from above, right? Telling you, time to go home. Lights went out and the computer broke. Those are my two rules. When that happened, it means I beat the computer down. It was time to reboot. Because remember, this is like a floppy drive computer, right? I actually stole it from this. Secretary's got new computer, so I took the secretary's computer, so I would have a computer in my engineering job. Because back then it was all more paper, and you analyze, you use your brain and figure out what was working. I incorporated a computer to what I was doing. But when I was in those 40 hours, I wasn't just doing the same job I was doing in my normal 40-hour work week. I was coming up with ideas to be more productive. Like I wrote a program. So my job back then was to identify new sources of production for Navy aircraft, right? And things would come up, there would be bids, and all these little companies would bid to get the job that may have never been authorized to make it before. And I wrote an algorithm, simple algorithm. To be honest with you, it was so simple that anybody ever put in for this one contract. It would look for all the companies that whoever ever put in and say, "Hey, I make this product for already. I just need to be approved, and we need to make sure we would review, make sure everything was good." So I wrote an algorithm that says, "Give me all the companies that have put in for this item," because for every one of those companies, all I did was I put the drawing package together. So I just, let's say there's five. Instead of doing one company at a time, when I got the drawing packages, this is when we had to print things. I would print out 5 copies, right? So make 5 different sets. I would contact each one of those vendors and say, "Give me your worksheets and all the stuff I need to update. Do you want to do this?" And they would send it to me. And then instead of submitting one work package every for that particular item, I submitted like 5, right? So I was putting out 20 packages a month where other people were doing 1 or 2, but I was doing 20. The reason why I was doing 20, I was working smartly, right? And my stuff got approved. You know why? Because also during those late hours, I would write a program to go find out where my packages were the approval process. Because in order to get approved, I had to go to all over the place around the country to get engineers to concur that their analysis and what they were doing and they had enough information to actually make the part was valid. I knew where all my packages were all the time because it would interrogate the system. And when it would show on their desk, these guys would get a call from me like a day or two later saying, "Hey, I saw you got my package. Is there anything else you need to do your analysis? Are you looking for some test data? You got what anything you need? Let me know. Give me They all knew me, right? So my stuff got approved because I would call them and follow up. I just wouldn't let it sit there. I would call. But that's what I would do with my extra hours. It wasn't doing more packages the same way. It was doing the same packages 5 times more productively, right? So that's what's working smarter. And that's about working good. Now, I also did that so that other days I'd go home, but I was still producing more than anybody else. But I'd go home at a decent time. I had fun. I spent way too much money in my 20s. I wish I would have saved it all. But I also wasn't making any money either. I mean, shoot, we were making like 20. My first year of college, I made $25,000 a year. That's it, right? It's not a lot of money. So if you're a young 20-year-old and you're out bar hopping and dating and doing all that kind of stuff, it doesn't last long. You got to get a new car, got to pay for school, got to pay for your apartment. By the time you're done, 25K does not last. So, but I always knew that I was going to do better, and I use technology to help me. So if you're in a job that they just want you to work there for another 20 hours, but don't want to pay you the extra 50% in income, then that's wrong, right? You want to get yourself out of that job or find a way. Hey, I'll get you, but I ain't just sitting here all day. But then there's other things like, what are you doing during the day? Are you doing other things? Are you expanding? Are you learning? Are you taking that time to grow and understanding on how you do business? Like the other day, I did the flip book, right? Took me about an hour, right? Figured out what program was out there. Did it as a kid. I had to teach my kids how to do this, but it was really cool. Animated a TikTok video that I'm looking to produce with my kids, and just have some fun, just enjoy it, but also teach them stuff. I'm going to teach you about stuff. But it's just fun. But what these guys talk about, working for, if you work there at the job just to be present there and working, but not coming up with using that time to be better at the job so you don't have to be there, then that's not working more. That's not showing me anything. That's just showing me that you just think working the same old way is smart, and that's not smart. So there's a big difference between what the guy was saying about work-life balance. But I want to say working smartly and doing things to improve the way you put output, you know, put 5 minutes in, but later on that same 5 minutes is worth 20 or 50 or 60 minutes of time in that same 5 minute period. And I think that's what Scrum and Agile give you. We do work so inefficiently that you're starting down here at the bottom of the row, and then within six months, you should be up there. You should be like growing like gangbusters with the same 40 hours a week. I have done it. So anyway, off my soapbox. We'll talk about it more. I know we'll be battling on the thoughts on that, but I think that same 40 hours, we can turn that with Agile and Scrum into a value of 80 hours, you know, within 6 months. There is absolutely no reason. The way we all work around here, there's so much stuff out there that's done incorrectly and wrong. And there's so many ways to benefit, right? You write some code. Okay, now I wrote this code. Now, how can I use the same code I just wrote 5 more different ways to produce 5 more different products to get 5 more times the income, right? That's what it's about. It's not about running the same thing. I'm going to run it. It takes me 5 hours to do. I'm just do five, 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 and five. I'm going to work 24 hours, do the same thing 5 hours for 20 hours or whatever. So I get 5 times. No, that's not it. That's not work-life balance. That's just working the same old. So anyway, with that, I'm off that. Maybe we can talk more about it. You can text me back, whatever. I just see people that work their hours and I go, yeah, but you work so darn it inefficiently during the day. You're there 20 hours because you have no freaking control over your time, no control over your calendar. You're just going to all these meetings. Nothing's getting done. You go to the meeting, you're not even paying attention because you're on your darn laptop or your phone all during the time, texting people, which means you're not engaged and your meetings are not held right and they're not facilitated correctly. And that's why you need to bring an agile coach that really knows what they're doing, not these ones that say they're agile coaches and they really haven't done it, but to really facilitate and have a good meeting. Are the right people there? Are they going to be there? Is it going to be effective? Let's take that half hour and make it a half hour's worth of stuff and not grow into an hour because you want to. Maybe I just got off on a heartbeat and I'm in the 13-minute mark and I got 2 minutes left. And I wanted to talk about something more related to Scrum and Agile and something I mentioned the other day, breaking down tasks, right? So I talked about tasking different because we talked about um, various things about time management and what they are. So tasks, and I say tasks should be done in a day, right? Or worst case, 2 days. Worst case, 2 days. But what do I say? And people ask me, oh, there's too much overhead to do tasks and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, it's really not that long. And when I get that thing, I say at least 3 things. I said, I got a story. I want you to write 3 tasks down. That's all I'm asking for. And we can go more later. But right now, just doing it because they're like, oh my God, going to system takes too long. 3 tasks. Dev, write a test script, and execute test script. Those are the 3 tasks that I ask all teams to, at a bare minimum, have in their stories. Because why do I do that? Because they're going to have to develop code to get, but I want them to test. I want them to write scripts while they're writing the code. So I kind of want them, as the person's writing the code, I want the tester to write the scripts at the same time so that when it's ready, boom, they're in testing. Those are the 3 bare minimum tasks I like to have. And to be honest with you, I wonder how long that takes. But now dev, so they all say it's too much. I'll just write dev tests. Okay, fine. But I want to know where they are, and I want to know the testers are writing scripts because I don't want the testers to wait until all the dev work's done, then write the script and then test. because that's nuts. You don't need to do that, right? You should be on the same page of what you want to test for. Now, I also think they should communicate a little bit, and we're at the 15-minute mark, so we're a little bit over. But I want to talk about real quick. I think they should communicate a little bit and make sure they're going to be testing at the same point. There's nothing wrong with that. Like the developer writes something, it'll be at this location, and the field's going to be called XYZ. Maybe the tester needs that information, so they do that. But now there's things like in the dev world, they want to expand that. That could be analyzed. You can have an analyze task. Maybe there's a writing code task, a unit test task. Maybe you're automating the unit test. Same thing in testing. Maybe you're automating your test sequence. Okay, but those are extra. But I bare minimum I want 3, and all those tasks shouldn't take more than a day. Maybe the story's too big, but we'll talk more about this because we're over time. But I just asked for those 3. Those 3 cover everything. Now, I will say, if you're hiring a lot of new people, it may be a good idea to break all those tasks down, part of your definition done, right? And maybe you put them in your stories, because it's a great way of teaching new people what to do, right? So maybe you normally don't write all that because you've been working, maybe you've been working for so long together, you don't need all that stuff. You just need dev, test, dev, script writing, and testing. Those 3 things. I even experienced once, I want those 3. So maybe you just need 3. But if you have some inexperienced people coming on board your team, maybe you need 5, 6, or 7 different tasks just to help them get to know it for a couple sprints. And then once you get to know it, you don't need to write all those tasks down anymore, because it's part of they got it in their head about being definition of done, right? So with that, I'm going to end it. It is Friday. I mean, not Friday. I wish it was Friday. It's Monday, and it's like 5:30. So we really started on time today. And I wish you a happy day on Monday. I got my magic wand because everybody talks about 15 minutes. It's too long. It's not long enough. We need 30. We need an hour. And I did the kids moon bounce, and I'll talk about that more because we're way over time today. But I did the moon bounce, and you'd be amazed how long 5 minutes is when you're doing a moon bounce with 100 kids for a Halloween show. So anyway, with that, hocus pocus. May you have a great Monday and happy scrumming. Take care and abracadabra. See you later. Goodbye and have fun. Boom.